This is a story that starts this spring. Well, actually, it starts 2 springs ago, when we installed these woodpecker homes in an attempt to get northern flickers to nest in our area. This is the goal. This is the northern flicker. Unfortunately, this is what we always get in these boxes, European starlings. And as I've shown you in past videos, these starlings really like to live in holes. They're cavity nesters, and these woodpecker homes that we build are perfect nesting sites for them. So they always beat the woodpeckers to the punch. They get there before them. Or so we thought. This year I did a little bit of research and learned that if you fill these boxes with sawdust, it prevents the starlings from nesting in them because starlings can't excavate the sawdust from the house. Flickers, on the other hand, are very good excavators, and not only do they clear the sawdust out, but in fact it makes them feel like they built the house themselves, which gives them, I don't know, a greater sense of satisfaction. These birds are not strangers to one another. You know, they've only been interacting for about 150 years, but in that time they've quickly learned that they do not like each other. Flickers and starlings have a very antagonistic relationship. Mainly flickers hate starlings and starlings bully flickers. So anyway, we had an initial success. We had both of our birdhouses excavated by flickers, and 2 pairs had moved into the 2 houses and were starting to build their nests. But about a month later I get a call from the landowner saying that the flickers have been replaced by starlings. Now, we didn't actually capture the footage of the starlings beating the flickers out of their homes, but this act has been caught on camera before. Here are 2 photo sequences of starlings actively taking over and replacing northern flicker nests. And the starlings actually attack the northern flicker nests in pairs. The male and females work together to overwhelm the flickers, and they'll even take the fight all the way into the nest. And even when the flickers try getting back in their own original nest, the starlings will gouge their eyes and pull their beaks away until the flickers just leave from exhaustion. So although we did lose the war, I wasn't about to lose the battle too. So I returned to this property with one goal in mind: kill the parent starlings and wipe out the offspring as well. And I did this using my pre-charged pneumatic air rifle, and I have all the details about this gun down in the video description. The chicks from the first house had actually already fledged, so I wasn't able to take them out. Once starlings fledge out of the house, they're gone for good. They go roost somewhere else. They don't return to the nesting site to sleep. But the second house still had the chicks inside, and I could tell by the sound of their cheeping that they were very mature and right about ready to fledge. The parents were nowhere near the nesting site at the time, so I just set up shop and waited patiently. After about an hour, the female starling returned, fresh from her bath, out in the cornfield. She was somewhat obscured by the leaves on the tree, but I was confident that I could put it where I wanted to. After about a half an hour, the male flew back in, and he'd presented me a cleaner shot with less obstruction. However, the angle was kind of tough, so I had to lay on my back and kind of hold up a knee, rest the gun against my knee, and take this shot at an elevation of about 50 or 60 degrees. And a gentle right to left wind had also picked up that I had to account for. But I delivered the shot cleanly, hit him right in the neck, and this bird was instantly dead. So, more waiting, and waiting, and waiting. I was starting to think I didn't know starlings quite as well as I thought I did. The sound the chicks made told me that they were going to come out within, a day or 2, but they just weren't popping their heads out of the hole until about 2 or 3 hours passed by. And after the first chick finally stuck his head out the hole, it would go really fast after this. All 3 chicks would be dead within 10 minutes. And you can see from the size of these guys that they weren't very far away from flying away. The chicks you're looking at here probably can fly. They just didn't have the confidence, or it wasn't quite their time just yet. In 24 hours or less, these chicks would have become part of the problem. And the only regret I actually have is that I took a bad angle on the birdhouse. You can see that with this angle, as the pellet passed through the bird, it also nicked up the wood a little bit on the left-hand side of the birdhouse. If I had a little better foresight, I'd have taken an angle farther to the right so that I could pass the pellet through the bird without striking the house itself. But the damage was mostly just cosmetic, so it wasn't too big of a deal. The landowner didn't mind one bit. She was happy to have the starlings out of there. And I actually decided to leave all 3 birds in the house to keep starlings from nesting there again. 3 months later, I did return to this area, though, and I was curious to see what kind of condition the bird corpses were in. A little morbid, yeah, but I don't know. Morbid curiosity? I got plenty of that, that's for sure. Anyway, it was a really, really nice day, so I decided to grab my ladder and have a look inside that hole. And I know all you haters out there are just hoping I wipe out and take a big old header off this ladder, but I'm not going to, guys. I got up and down in one piece, so fast forward now. But this part was pretty wild. I saw no evidence of these birds in this house at all. Now, I know it had been 3 months and there wouldn't be a whole lot left, but you would still see a lot of feathers and a lot of bones. What happened to those birds? I do not know. It appears that something went in there and ate them, or took them out of there. Squirrels are known bird eaters, but in this case, this farm didn't have any squirrels in the area. So if you got an idea what happened to these, leave it in the comments section. I will be very interested to hear what you think happened to the corpses of these 3 birds. And so marks the end of this story. Nobody wins. Flickers lose, starlings lose. We're going to try again next year. We'll fill them with sawdust again. I'm going to be a little more diligent this time. I'll get out there earlier in the spring and hit as many starlings as I possibly can so that there isn't a already seated population in the area that could harass the northern flickers. Plus, it's always good to see these 2 little guys. They're my buddies. Like 2 little black potbelly pigs. In addition to being more diligent against starlings next year, we also plan to hopefully employ some new strategies, including having a piece of plexiglass in front of the whole of the house so that only the flicker can get up. Flickers are woodpeckers, and they can utilize their climbing skills to climb up behind the plexiglass. Starlings are unable to climb in this way. We'll give that a try too if it's possible to get these down and reconstruct them a little bit. And although we did feel a little defeated, well, a lot defeated, having failed to defend the woodpeckers in their home, we were at least treated by one of the most beautiful Wisconsin sunsets we had all summer. I'll stop talking now and just let this video end with the sounds of summer. It's only October and I miss it already.